Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
All we are saying is give me the chance.
How'd that work out for John Lennon? How'd that work out for John Lennon, huh? Give peace a chance. Ask the vermin in Berkeley if they believe in peace. Ask the police in Berkeley why they didn't arrest anyone who committed violence. Ask the rest of the police in the United States of America why they can't arrest perpetrators in America who commit violence against innocent civilians. As long as the perpetrators are liberals or communists, they don't seem to have any consequences, do they? That's not my idea of justice. Welcome to the Savage Nation. I know the only thing that any of you want to hear about today, and I don't blame you, are the news reports. So somebody wrote this on the TMZ coverage of the assault on Michael Savage, and I think it's very pertinent. Frank M. wrote, so we know Savage is 75, we know his dog Teddy is 12, we know the restaurant's name, and yet we know nothing about the disgruntled patron who assaulted him. Usually the first one to throw the punch goes to jail on assault charges, but not in California. Thank you very much, Frank. It is bewildering to me, I gotta tell you, this whole business. We're going to have my lawyer on at 34 because as far as I'm concerned, the law is an ass. Samuel Johnson wrote that a couple of 100 years ago. Nothing's changed. The law is an ass. Wait until you hear what the law is about assault and how bad it is in the state of California. Now, this is very interesting. I'll just tell you the story from my point of view without telling you the story from my point of view. I'll tell it to you from the point of view of a reporter. Aaron Klein wrote me an email this morning and said, what can you say about it? I'll put it up on Breitbart. Well, here's what I said to him. The headline says, Michael Savage following alleged assault. Quote, it is clearly open season on prominent Trump supporters. Talk radio star Savage told Breitbart News a day after he was reportedly allegedly assaulted. Tell that to my damn neck and back. Tell my neck and back that they were reportedly, allegedly assaulted at a so-called restaurant in so-called Tiburon. Anyway, I'm not going to read any more of this. I'll read the one paragraph I wrote. You know, I'll tell you the truth. It's 2 days later and the pain is worse and my anger is worse and my PTSD is kicking in. I'm really starting to get pissed off at everybody, especially those who didn't arrest him. Savage said it is clearly open season on prominent Trump supporters. The fascist left has been empowered by their own false narrative that those of us who support borders, language, and culture, my motto, are evil fascists. This is how Hitler came to power. He used his brown shirts to beat up any opponents. The media and police are now almost wholly driven by this lie. Well, what can I say to you? Last night I had dinner with a number of friends, including several special forces people who were calling me all night. They never forget their friends, and they feel I speak for them. And they said they want justice to be done. I said, yeah, I want justice to be done also, but the law is an ass thus far. You're going to hear the law, you're not going to believe what you're going to hear. You're going to hear what happened from the eyewitness accounts that were collected by an investigator yesterday at the site of the attack. Now you're saying, that's not a really big deal, don't make it such a big deal. Well, it isn't a big deal to you because it didn't happen to you. No, it's not a big deal if it doesn't happen to you, I get that. Other people suffer much worse than I did, and I accept that. I recognize that. People are shot every day of the week, and it's no big deal. It's no big deal to them because they're dead. But it's a big deal to them if they survive an assault or survive a shooting. It's a big deal to the families of those who were assaulted. My family happens to be away on vacation. They were shocked to hear about it. They were way away. They were in the Bahamas. They couldn't believe what they heard. They read it on the news. They called up hysterical. And they said, why was the man not arrested who did this to you and our poor little dog? And the man then attacked another man who tried to intervene, yes. And he didn't get arrested? No. No, he didn't get arrested. They said if you were a woman, he would have been in jail. I said, let me tell you something else that has not yet come out. In the state of California, as in many other states, there are laws that protect senior citizens. It's called elder abuse. Like in Florida, they have some of the most stringent laws to protect older people because the older people lobbied for their protection, as should be done. They are very vulnerable older people. Well, I'm not a, fainting wallflower, but I happen to fall into the category of a protected class of citizen. I'm over a certain age. Now, what if someone had assaulted a child outside that restaurant, even by slapping the child? What would the cops have done? Put a citizen's arrest on the child as well? I really wonder about the law. I wonder about all of it. But it is open season on Trump supporters, so I have a few questions for you. My lawyer will be here in about 15 minutes. He could say things I cannot say for obvious reasons. He's going to tell you what actual eyewitnesses saw. I'm going to ask you, the listeners, a few questions. You're not on trial, but you're here to give testimony. Where did you read about this incident? Who was most unfair in the reportage of this incident? Have any conservative talk show hosts talked about it? I know the great Rush Limbaugh hasn't gotten around to it. When Rush had his incident a number of years ago with the Viagra and the pills at the airport, I went on the air and defended him. I wonder why he hasn't said one word about this. I found out something during this little event, who my friends are and who they're not. I found out who my allies are and who they're not, and you'd be quite surprised that even decent liberals sent emails and said to me, I don't agree with your politics, but I'm sick to my stomach that you were assaulted like this in Tiburon, California, and the man was not arrested. I'm sick of it. People cannot believe what is going on in this country today. And I wouldn't say because of political correctness, I would call it political insanity, political cowardice. That is one topic. There are others, and I know you're not going to be as interested in them because you want to hear the eyewitness accounts, and so do I. I don't know what they are. I know what happened, but I don't know what the investigator got last night. He was out there till late at night. He talked to a lot of people. So there's another big story. Trump is proposing cutting all funding for PBS, NPR, and the NEA. I 100% support it. I did so just the other day. Well, they're going crazy. They're going crazy. No, you can't cut NPR. Da, 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 da. All the communist news and then more. Do you realize something about talk radio that you don't know? We're in the ratings business. We live and die by ratings. It's like To Live and Die in L.A. In fact, Robert, play the theme To Live and Die in L.A. It's a great song. In fact, I like to play that song over and over again. In fact, I may move to L.A. to get away from the scum here in the Bay Area. No, but I won't do that. I won't give them the satisfaction. I'm not leaving. They're going to leave before I leave. I don't run away from trouble, but I don't look for it. And I'll tell you something else. I will pursue this to the ends of the earth to see justice done. I will not stop until justice prevails. If I don't get what is right, I will bring in the federal government. That's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. There's craziness in the air. There is craziness in the air. So, Robert, do we have To Live and Die in L.A. or still searching for it? That's the one. I just like the sound. Bing, bang, boom thing. Let me take a deep breath before I say something I really mean. Where did you read about this assault? Who was the most unfair in coverage? I know who the most unfair was. Have any conservative talk show hosts talked about it? I think it's very good. These are great topics because you're going to learn something about the reality of the world that you live in. You know, people can say they're something and they may not be that thing. You can tell more about a person by their acts than by their comments. How they act in real life is who they really are as opposed to what they tell you they are. For example, I won't mention names. There's a man who is a true conservative, and I've known him for 30 years. He and I got along great. He was with me right from the beginning of radio. He has a wonderful website. I don't want to mention his name, it's not important, but we had a falling out over a personal stupid thing a couple of years ago. We just stopped talking to each other. It happens between people. We rubbed each other the wrong way, and we're both very proud people, and we're very strong-minded. We stopped talking to each other. He sent me an email saying, we got to put petty differences aside. This is outrageous. I'll do anything I can to help you. Now that's a true man. That's a true man. He's Mr. True Man. KSFO, James, line 4. You're on the Savage Nation. What's on your mind?
Hello, Dr. Savage. I'm sorry to hear what happened to you. I actually heard it on Laura Ingraham this morning. I listened to her in the morning on the way to work and listened to you at lunch.
How do you catch Laura? Is she on in the Bay Area? You stream it?
Well, no, sir. Actually, I'm calling from Colorado Springs, but I listen to you on TuneIn Radio.
Oh, okay, I got it.
But I'll tell you...
Yeah, she and I are friends. She's great. I really love Laura. She's a terrific woman. Lovely Laura Ingraham.
Yes, sir. I'm going to have to try to find her podcast so I can hear your interview. I understand you're going to be on her show.
Well, I was on the show. I don't think I can play it for obvious reasons. For certain reasons I can't mention. You know, I was on the Larry King show yesterday. Larry is a certifiable liberal his whole life. I happen to love the man. I met him on the air. So before the show started, I said, I said, lovely Larry the liberal, how are you? You know what? He didn't get mad. He smiled. He's a good-natured man. Well, then we went and disagreed about politics. He challenged me on everything that Trump did and what do I believe in this and that. But he never got angry. He didn't get vicious. He didn't get mad. And he even invited me to his bagel shop in Beverly Hills to share a schmear with him. Now, I don't eat cream cheese, but I do eat bagels, so I may go down there. But the thing is, there's a difference between being a liberal and being a psychotic fascist progressive. You know that.
Well,
no one knows. I'm just mumbling down. No one knows anything. Now, the best coverage of all was the Daily Mail. I was surprised they picked it up. It's linked on the Drudge Report. You know what happens when that happens to Drudge. It is the #2 website in the whole world in terms of news coverage. It's hard to believe if you look at it. Most of the others who claim that they have big coverage are phonies. They have no following at all. Nothing. If you actually look at the data, which I think I'm going to read to you, to put things to rest. You know what? I like truth. You know what I said to you? Like, trained in science and trained in epidemiology and trained in statistics, I go where the evidence leads me. So anyone could say anything about their show or their politics, their show or their website. But, you know, numbers generally don't lie. His site is the biggest, #2. It outdraws Google and whatnot. So once he covered it, I mean, it went all over the world. Michael Savage shaken in public assault. Talk radio star pursuing felony hate crime charges. Open season on Trump supporters. Restaurant melee. What melee? What melee? I had a dinner with my dog. I walk out and some unknown guy follows me out. What are you talking about? I never saw this guy before. Never had a word with him. There's no melee. Well, I can say a lot of things that I cannot say. I mean, I'd like to say a lot of things that I can't say, and in a few minutes my lawyer will be here. I hope he'll say a little bit more about how asinine the law really is. Phone number is 855-487-282. I like the microphone. What model is that? Larry King had a mock RCA mic on his desk. A mock RCA. Mock RCA. No one uses the RCA mic anymore. We use these workhorse microphones. These RE20s are great. RE28s are better. What are they called? It's like a vacuum cleaner, Electrolux. I don't even know the name of the thing. No, I don't know what it's called. They're wonderful instruments. How do they work? I don't even know. You talk into them. You know, here's a guy. I have a degree in epidemiology. I don't even study a microphone. How does this thing work? I'm thinking about it now that I'm looking at it. You talk. It vibrates stuff. It's an amazing instrument. You ever think about how your own voice works? I'll bet many of you are shocked to find out how old I really am because I don't sound my age, do I? Because I'm not my age. I'm an eternal man. I'm like Zorba the Greek. A man like me should live 1,000 years. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Yeah, play it, why not? I know, all you want to hear about is the incident. I don't blame you. But don't go looking for me in the restaurant. I'm never going to be there again. Let me put it to you that way. And just forget it. Put an X through it if you want to find me, because you'll never find me there again. So I just got this. It says, tell Savage that now he knows what cops have to deal with every day when they get assaulted. On the other hand, he should submit his medical records to the DA in Marin County. Between us, the cops in Tiburon only arrest people for dropping champagne glasses. That's hilarious. They have a lockup for champagne glass droppers. Is there another one? He also needs to know that this assault was very underreported. I'm not sure what the extent of his injuries are, but if visible, photos would help. Well, I'm going to see... here's the funny thing about this. I'm a strange guy when it comes to injuries. I keep everything in. I never complain to anybody about my stuff, really. People think I do. I don't. I keep it all into myself. I don't really talk about it. The day after it was, a little bit of this, assault, neck, back. Now it's really bad. So I have a friend who's an instructor in Kung Fu. He said it's going to be bad the second day and it's going to get worse. Well, it's bad the second day and it got worse. So I sent it to my friend, the doctor and a chiropractor. But here's something odd. I got to tell you this. This is an interesting, just like a guy talking to you. I'm not trying to make a point right now. Let Dan, my lawyer, make the point when he comes on. Okay? I realize I'm talking to a lot of people around the world who are interested in me for the first time. Maybe they never heard me, but I'm just talking about an incident that occurred that could happen to you. Now, if it happened to you, wouldn't you want justice from the police department? Immediate justice? I'm sure you would. But wouldn't you be concerned that we live in a society where even in a, quote, let us say upscale white neighborhood, a white guy can go up to another white guy who's 20 years older than him and a foot shorter and throw him to the ground with impunity and then make the false claim that I pushed him first? When my hands were tied up, my right hand was holding my dog's chain, my left hand was holding a bag. This is the world the cops live in, by the way. They have to listen to both sides. Don't you love it? Then he assaulted another man who tried to stop him. That didn't count either? What if he assaulted 10 people? They couldn't arrest him either because each one was a misdemeanor. You hear the law? Well, you're going to hear this. He could hit 10 people in the face, one after the other. While he committed 10 misdemeanors, we can't arrest him. You're going to hear this. You're not going to believe what you're about to hear on this show. You're not going to believe it. The lawyer will be here. He's in town. He's on.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282.
This is going to sound like a horror story, but for some people, it's a reality during tax season. Now imagine you head to the mailbox after doing your taxes, you reach in, discard all the junk mail, and then pull out the item you've been waiting for so long, only to get a huge shock someone's already filed for your return. You probably didn't know that identity thieves could use your personal information to file for your refund or commit other forms of ID theft. In fact, the IRS identified approximately $4.1 billion in suspected identity theft, tax refund fraud in 2016. Thankfully, though, there's LifeLock. With LifeLock, you have access to a team of US-based specialists who know the steps to take and the calls to make to fix identity issues, whether it happens during tax season or any other time. Of course, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. Join now and get 10% off by using promo code SAVAGE. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to lifelock.com, promo code SAVAGE. That's SAVAGE, and you save 10% now at lifelock.com. Not as good. I try another track from that album, but I don't like it. You know, sometimes a musician can do one thing right and everything else that follows is not right. Same with hits, one hit. Remember when I was a kid, I'd buy records, for that one hit, and you try to play the others, it was like, meh. So getting back to the assault on Michael Savage, this is a classic case of bullying. All the liberals who lecture us day and night, bullying, 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 bullying. What do you call attacking a man who's a foot shorter than you, blindsiding him, 20 years older than you, whose hands are tied up? What would you call that? Would you call that bullying, all you liberal rats, you? Where are the liberals now? I gotta tell you something else. I'm a funny guy. Radio is my whole life right now. It's been this way for a long time. I can suppress pain generally, but when I'm on the air, I feel nothing. I fly like an eagle. What was that? Who was that group? I had a friend who played in that group. Steve Miller Band. I don't know where Stevie is today. Great guitarist. But there was a great song called Fly Like an Eagle, and I used to say to you on this show, God knows how many years ago that was, that for 3 hours a day I fly like an eagle, and then for 21 hours a day I crawl like everyone else, like a worm on the earth, trying to make our way through Earth. We don't know what would, day to day, doing the best we can. But when you get on the radio, it takes away everything, all the pain, all the worry, all the doubt, all the fears. It all goes away. It's the greatest place on earth. It's a great place to exist. It's the castle in the sky that I talk about. And I'm glad you could be with me today on this program. And it may not be pleasant to listen to what you're about to hear because I don't know what you're about to hear. But it will be the truth. Daniel Horowitz is a great attorney. I've known him for many years, not as an attorney only, but as a friend. I know his wife, his children. I've been through a lot of hell with him. He's the kind of guy that if you call him 3 in the morning because you're up over a case, he'll take the call. Not you, me. He's afraid I'll yell at him. No, he's not afraid of anything. He's a tough guy. Dan, line 10, where is he? Dan, line is 10 lit up. Dan, line 10, you're on the Savage Nation.
Hi, Michael. I'm here. I'm very tired, though, for being woken up at 3 in the morning.
Always on the button there. Well, you're not tired from that. It's because you went to a private dinner with me and a bunch of guys last night, including some special forces guys, and you drank a little too much red wine. Then I got caught in the traffic jam driving in a bar, okay? Let's be clear.
Well, that's all true also.
So, Dan, let me ask you, you had an investigator or whatever you call him, go out there last night and try to get some eyewitness accounts. What did he learn?
All right, he talked to people who saw a man come out after you. You're leaving the restaurant. You've got Teddy on a leash with one hand, and you've got your bag in the other. And this fellow apparently is seen running after you. And he confronts you, and the next thing they see is this fellow is grabbing you and throwing you on the ground. Now, the next thing that happens, fortunately, is that a man comes running and steps in between and tells this guy, stop. And for being a good Samaritan, the reward he got was getting punched in the face. So that's what...
Why was he not arrested? Why was the perpetrator not arrested?
You see, this is a crazy part of the law, and as you said, police officers go nuts over this. This is a misdemeanor, a battery, punching somebody, unless they're bleeding, or their eyes knocked out, unless there's real injury that's gory. It's a misdemeanor. The law prohibits police...
What do you mean by wait, hold on. How do we know what real injury is? There are many people who get injured and it doesn't show. There's injuries to soft tissue, muscle injury, nerve injury. Come on, you know that as a tort lawyer.
And the tort lawyers also know that if there's no bleed, then the case often doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, I'm sorry I didn't get stabbed. I'll try better next time.
Exactly. If you'd fallen on the street, cut open your head, and
I'm sorry I didn't. Well, I'm not from Brooklyn. I didn't fake an injury.
That's what it comes to. If you'd been standing there like screaming in pain, maybe the officer would have said, oh, it's great bodily injury, serious injury.
Well, I got news for you. The officer, to his credit, asked me if I needed medical aid, and although I did want help, I said no. The last thing I wanted to do was be taken away in an ambulance with a dog cry. My dog was traumatized.
Actually,
You know that this piece of garbage swept the dog out of... This little 10-pound dog is still frightened. Do you know that? Why didn't they arrest him for assaulting an animal?
well, Penal Code Section 597 makes it potentially a felony for assaulting an animal. As I look at the law, I actually think that the consequences for pushing Teddy aside with his foot might be more severe than for you to the ground.
Well, good. I'm glad to see that we value animal life more than human life. At least something is in the right state of mind.
The law is crazy sometimes.
What did the other witnesses say? Was there anything other than that, or is that a sum total?
That's the sum total. Everybody saw the same thing. Nobody understood why he was yelling things at you or grabbing you, or why. I think their big concern was, why did this guy come out of the restaurant after you?
Well, isn't that a crime, a felony, to pursue someone and assault them verbally and then physically? That's not a felony?
No. It's the law gives a lot of, look, if the guy had come out and kept...
Wait a minute, and then the cop says to me, he's putting you under a citizen's arrest, you hit him first. I said, how could I have done that? My right hand was holding my dog's chain, my left hand was holding my bag.
There's a crime called making a false police report.
Oh, let me hear about that, Mr. Horowitz.
All right, 148 I think it's point 5 of the Penal Code says that if you lie to a police officer deliberately while making a report of an alleged crime, that itself is a misdemeanor. And here's a fellow who followed you out. There's no dispute he followed you out. He came up to you and closed the space, yelling at you. That right there is an assault, because it's putting you in fear of being attacked by who knows who he is. Is he the guy who killed John Lennon? Is he?
Thank you. Give peace a chance. I didn't know who this guy was.
Right.
I turned quickly and I said, go away from me, basically.
Listen, I'll tell you something. I think you show tremendous restraint. It's because you are approached by people all the time. You probably have a lot more restraint than me. If some guy came that close to me yelling, his face would not be existing. I mean, I would.
Okay, but you would be in prison. That's the whole point. You would have seen this sick society of ours.
Well, let me tell you, a man comes out after you, comes that close, yelling, you know that it's coming. You don't have to wait till you're dead on the ground.
Dan, I turned around and this man was right in my face. He was in my space. He could have shot me, could have stabbed me, Dan.
Well, I believe,
So let me just finish this discussion. Luckily for him, I did not do something, because I don't do that when I am going out eating or drinking. You follow that one?
Yeah, but you had a legal right to do it, in my opinion.
Oh, I had a legal right to do that. But now they didn't even arrest him. They said he had the right to file a false report against me?
Well, we'll go to that. Everything he did wrong, we're looking at. We've got our people gathering evidence. We're talking to law enforcement. We're talking to the police officer, who's been, very good at talking back and forth and communicating. And we're giving him everything we've got. And we are going to ask for felony charges, a felony assault because of your age. Even though you look young, you're over the legal age, it becomes a felony, and that's a separate crime. We're going to ask for animal abuse, for pushing Teddy with his foot. You don't do anything to animals when you're angry at a person. And thirdly, we're going to ask for filing a false police report. We're going to ask for those charges. And you know what, Michael? Answer this honestly. If this guy had apologized to you, honestly and profusely, honestly apologized, wouldn't you have just let him go?
When would he have done that? He ran in the restaurant after he socked the other guy. He ran like a little chicken into the restaurant.
Well, okay, if he didn't sock the guy, if he had just said, okay.
After he assaulted me and my dog, the Good Samaritan stepped in. I love that guy, by the way, and I know who he is, the good guy. I'm gonna take him and his wife to dinner. I love those people. These are the best people I've ever met. I've met in years. The perpetrator ran in the restaurant like a little chicken chick.
This guy who got punched, he did not know you. You did not hang out with him at that restaurant.
No, I met him that night. I was having a drink and he introduced himself. That is correct.
That's it. The guy comes out and puts himself in front of a guy who, as I understand it, because he talked to me, was much bigger than him. And he did it. He didn't even think about it because it had to be quick. And who?
Yeah, no, he jumped in and tried to stop him. He didn't hit the other guy. He tried to stop him, and the violent perpetrator hit him in the face.
I know. Well, he's got your Good Samaritan, whose name we'll keep private for his, but he's a hero and a very brave man because he couldn't think about it. He had to move quickly to make sure you didn't get stomped on by or hurt. He had to move quickly, and he did it without thought for himself.
How did we know this psycho wasn't going to pull out a gun or break a beer bottle and drive it into my face?
Yeah, no, you're a good Samaritan. I wish I could say his name and thank him. We'll get it.
Well, not right now. Let's leave that for another time. So you asked me a question, which is what? After all that, if this coward bully comes out and says, I'm sorry?
Well, I guess it's not, somebody who would chase you out of a restaurant probably is not going to say, I'm sorry. I guess
if he had come out and said, look, I didn't know what I was doing. I had too much to drink. I didn't mean to do this. I just wanted to say this or that. I probably would have walked away from it. But he's hiding. I still don't know his name, Dan. Now explain this to the listeners. How is it that everyone knows my name, my age, my dog's name, but they don't know the man who assaulted me? How is that possible?
Again, the law has a lot of rules. I'm sure the police would like you to know who he is so you could protect yourself, maybe even get a restraining order against him. But they're under strict orders to keep that material private until the district attorney has had a chance to review the file. And they're hamstrung. The police officers have to follow rules or they get sued. There's internal affairs.
But it seems like the rules are all written to protect the aggressive, violent person.
The rules protect the aggressive, violent too much in this society. We go overboard we're taught in school to let to save one innocent person from being wrongfully convicted. We should let 10 guilty people go free.
Yeah, a big liberal, shibboleth, I get it. Yeah. You see, there's a war on conservatives. He knew my family name, so therefore he was gunning for me, and therefore he had a vendetta against me, a premeditated vendetta, by the way. I'll tell you that, and I'm not a lawyer. He didn't just say, hello, are you savage? He didn't say that. So obviously he had some kind of axe to grind with me, and I don't know who that man is to this day. By the way, is he from Tiburon? Does he live in Marin County? Is he from out of state? Who is he?
My big concern is that he knew things about you personally that are far beyond what a person would randomly know. I mean, who cares what your family name is? If he disagrees with something that you said on the radio, he should say, hey, can we talk? I've got a different point.
That is right. Now, by the way, I rarely ever go out, let us put it this way, as naked as I was that night. Let's put it to you that way. I'm very cautious. That's number one. But number two, I often do say hello to strangers. I'll be back in a minute. I have to follow this, Dan. This is very important for the listeners to understand. I'm not a coward. I don't hide. I do talk to people outside my little radio studio. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do. And I've had many of them say, you know what, I really like your family stories, but I don't like your politics. But I have never had a man just come up and spontaneously assault me and my animal, and then hit a Good Samaritan, and not get arrested. But 2-3 weeks ago in Berkeley, the progressive cowards burned, looted, bashed, beat up old women, and the cowardly police did nothing, Dan. This is not so much a societal problem. It is a liberal societal problem. I'll be back in a minute.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Dr. Michael Savage back. Look, many of you don't know this, but I used to be the director of nutrition for one of the largest health food chains in the country. And I found this product, Super Beets, and it's really one of the most impressive natural functional foods I've seen in my career, and it has to do with blood flow. Beets are loaded with dietary nitrates, which convert into nitric oxide in the body. Super Beets is the easiest way to get these natural dietary nitrates to specifically help with blood flow and circulation. Super Beets works 3 times faster to give you results you can feel. It tastes great. I use Super Beets. I use it every day. I can feel the energy and stamina it gives me within 20 minutes, and I want you to feel it too. Call 800-481-0504. That's 800-481-0504. Or go to SavageLovesBeets.com. You're going to get a 30-day supply for free. It comes with your first order. It's backed by a money-back guarantee. You're also going to get a free book, Beat the Odds, and free shipping on your entire order. You're going to love the results that you feel with your first free canister, guaranteed, or your money back. This is not a funny situation, but there are cosmetic things that people look into when people wake up in the morning and they say, gee, I wish this bag under my eye would just go away. Well, if that's something that you say to yourself in the mirror every morning, you're really not alone. Bags and puffiness, you see, are a problem for millions of American men and women, unless you've got Genucel, right? That's the plant stem cell treatment from Chamonix. Well then, ladies and gentlemen, you have no bags and no puffiness. Listen to Susan from New Jersey, and here's what she wrote. She said, I've been using Genucel for a couple of months. The puffiness around my eyes is gone. Even the crow's feet and small lines have disappeared and have not come back. I love your product. I use it under my eyes, around my cheekbones, and on my eyelids. Not only Susan, folks, people in my family use it, and they really look good. The best part is the product works instantly. And with its instant effects, you're going to see results in the first 12 hours. You get your money back, period, end of story. Call now and you'll save big on Genucel's risk-free limited time offer. Call 800-SKIN-891. That's 800-SKIN-891. Plus right now during the Chamonix Spring Clearance event, Chamonix will give you an instant $50 coupon while supplies last. Call 800-SKIN-891. Write it down, 800-SKIN-891. If you haven't remembered it yet, it's 800-SKIN-891. Period, end of story. When I come back, I have a couple of minutes in this hour and a little more time in the next hour to talk about the assault on Michael Savage for reasons undetermined, probably owing to my political beliefs, because I don't know the assailant. His name is being protected by the police. We will also talk about the Trump proposal for killing all funding to PBS, NPR, and the NEA. 100% I agree with it. Let them live in the real world like I do. Let them go out in the commercial world and read ads, seek advertisers, not sit there on their high horses in their ivory towers at NPR making $500 grand a year. And what do? They got enormous ratings because there's no ads. They have unlimited time to spew their liberal gospel. You know that if I had no ads, I'd have no show. But let's say I had no ads, my ratings would be triple. Do you understand why NPR has high ratings? I'd love to see NPR go on. My ratings would go up. My competition would go down. Here's another story we're going to cover. 23% of public school children now live in immigrant households. 25% of all of the nation's public school students are immigrants. How are they going to be assimilated in this country? Did you really want to live in a third world nation? Have you considered the consequences of your good-natured liberal background? No, you haven't. Well, maybe you ought to, before it's too late and you wake up a stranger in your own land. And then who are you going to blame? Those of us who said borders, language, culture, or your own stupidity? Liberalism is not so much about being good, it's about being a coward. You're afraid to take a position that is real. When I come back, we'll give you a real position on the assault with my lawyer, Danny Horowitz. It's open season on Trump supporters. Who did not cover this assault and calls themselves a conservative? Everybody. That's the real world of competition. It's not about politics, it's about dog eat dog.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of orders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
All right, everybody, listen to the show. I have a question for you. Do you know the law on assault? I'll bet you don't. You want to hear how twisted it is? You're out to dinner in a restaurant, minding your own business with a wife, girlfriend, guy friend, dog. A man comes up to you and throws a glass of wine in your face. Not the glass, but throws wine in your face. Is that considered a felonious assault? Dan Horowitz, you're back on the Savage Nation. Would that be considered a felony assault, throwing wine in someone's face?
Is it good wine or bad wine?
I knew you'd say that.
It's not a felony. It would be a misdemeanor. It would be a misdemeanor.
A misdemeanor, really. Your clothing's ruined, you're humiliated. That's a misdemeanor. So, in other words, people can virtually assault anyone in this society and get away with it? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, here's what I was thinking during the break. You actually acted exactly the way Marin County wants people to act. And remember 2 years ago, Dr. Simon was followed to his house by a man who he had a traffic dispute with.
Yes.
Took a gun and shot him. And he was prosecuted for that. And Ed Berberian, who's the district attorney of Marin, said you can't use that kind of force in a confrontation. You did just what he wants. You got pushed to the ground. You did not shoot the man. You did not stab the man. Teddy did not bite the man. So you're doing what the district attorney's office argued was the right thing to do 2 years ago. So I think they'll support you here to make the point that somebody who gets punched, takes the punch like a man, and doesn't retaliate, then gets defended by society, by the district attorney's office.
Oh, really? I'd like to see if they don't do a two-way on this one.
We'll see, but I feel confident that you did exactly what this district attorney...
Let me explain where my constraint comes from. And I can do so without any fear of exposing this on the show. For well over 12 years, I've been gifted with a conceal and carry permit, but I did not have my weapon with me that night because very often I do not carry the weapon for one reason. The law is very specific, Dan. If you're out drinking or you're in a bar, you cannot have the weapon with you. Did you know that?
Right, I know.
All right. I know the law so well, and I'm very protective of my rights. The last thing on earth was I did not want any trouble in that regard. However, I am trained to respond according as if I did have a weapon with me. And so what I did was I turned around and said, "Who are you? Get away from me." Lifted my hand to keep him from assaulting me. Put my hand between me and him. And for that, the man claims I assaulted him first, Dan? Is that not insanity?
It's insanity, and I still say, and I teach my kids just like you taught your kids, sometimes the greatest courage is restraint.
Yeah, right. You know, it all sounds good, Dan.
Well, let's see if the attorney's office stands up behind a citizen who did the right thing.
Someone just wrote this, and it's a policeman. You don't know if the attacker is going to stab or shoot you. Welcome to what cops live with every day. Sorry it happened to you. The rules completely protect the knuckleheads and nothing to protect victims. Just saying, okay? Cops deal with this every day of the week.
Right. Cops get pushed, they get spit on, they get insulted, and they have to take it, and they suck it up, and they do. But
I'm not a cop.
Right.
I am not a cop. I'm a citizen. I'm 75 years of age. I have numerous health conditions, Dan. Do I have to enumerate them on the air?
No. I mean, just the fact that the man is, almost a foot taller than you is enough.
So wait, he knocks me to the ground because I'm off balance. I'm going to repeat it again. The dog is hurt. The dog is whining on the floor and scared to death. Incidentally, you know the first thing I did was? The minute I recovered my balance, I grabbed the dog. He was scared to death. He was shaking like a leaf. He was so terrified. I don't even know if he was injured. I have no way to know. He won't leave my side. He will not leave my side. Yesterday during the show, I developed just a minor little thing called heartburn, which I never get. The dog was staring at me when I had heartburn. How does he know this? How does a dog know when you have heartburn? I don't understand it. He started staring with a worried look that I had heartburn. He will not leave my side, Dan. All right, so now the guy hits a Good Samaritan as well, runs like a little chicken garbage into the restaurant. The cops come and I say, I want to make a citizen's arrest. No, I said to the cops, I want you to arrest that man for assaulting. You know what they said? We can't do it. You can make a citizen's arrest. I said, well, do what you have to do. They come out and say, he's putting one on you. He says, you hit him first. I said, are you crazy? You don't see this as a cover-up? That a guy just, all right, I'll say it too? Now, you said something in the first hour, filing a false report. Tell us what that is, Dan.
All right, first of all, I'm sure the police officers were just shaking their heads saying the law is crazy. But filing a false police report says you can't waste police time, you can't waste police resources, you can't falsely accuse people and get away with it. You know, the false accusation against you as a public figure could damage you, just the false accusation.
That's right. Look at some of the headlines. Savage in restaurant melee. What melee?
I know. Look,
I made it sound like I was in a bar brawl. I mean, it's insanity. It's a blow to my reputation, which I protect at all costs.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, off the air, and by the way, Dan, everyone who knows me, they know this about me. Off the air, I am the quietest man on earth. I rarely raise my voice. I never engage in political discussion in public. Never. Never. I never engage in it. If someone came up to me in a restaurant and says something, usually, I smile and say thank you and they walk away, no matter what they say. I will not engage in political discussion off the air. I'm a very meek person off the air because I know the consequences of such a thing. So there's something very wrong with the picture, Dan.
Well, there's something wrong with the picture, and I'm sure the police officers were as frustrated as can be when they see two people who are on one side and a fellow on the other who's not saying he's sorry, and all they can do is you know, fill out pieces of paper, sign this, sign that, and we'll refer it to the DA in a few days. I'm sure they would like to exercise their discretion and be trusted more, but we don't trust them, and that's a symptom of what's wrong with this society, and it's what drives police officers crazy. We let them risk their lives and die and be shot at, but we don't let them make reasonable decisions that we're happy to let them make, but the law won't let them. That's the crazy world we've got.
Did any of the witnesses, and I did not talk to them, you independently sent out an independent investigator. So I'll ask you a loaded question which could be very dangerous. Did any of the witnesses say that I started this?
No, I mean, Bruce Gerstmann is a top investigator. He used to be a reporter for a major newspaper chain. I mean, he's a top guy. And he went to the restaurant last night and met with people who had been there the night before, met with the witnesses. Everybody says the same thing. He reported back that everybody has the same, not only the same vision of what happened, but they were all astounded at the person coming out after you. In other words, it wasn't like you talked inside, you walked out.
Right, I never said a word to him. I don't even know who this guy is.
That's the point that people said. They just saw a man come out after you, and you know, it was surprising to them. It got their attention right away.
Because this is basically a very peaceful community, to be very honest with you. And violence never occurs there. Not even the most mild type of violence. Pushing never occurs. Shoving never occurs. It's a lily-white protected community. And all these liberals were shocked that this occurred in their backyard.
Yeah, I think the community is a very tolerant community. There's a lot of tourists who come there, but when people get there, you get a sense of the ocean, of peacefulness. People are very respectful. And the people in the restaurant said to our investigators, said, Mr. Gerstmann, this, like you said, this does not happen here. We just want our community to go back to the way it was.
Well, is this man from the community? The assailant?
The people we talked to said they do not recognize him. They never saw him before. I mean, we don't know. It's not that small a town. You know, he could be from that town, but nobody...
Oh, really? Oh, really? Well, was he sent there to look for me? Was he sent because he heard I eat there once in a while?
You know, it's... All I can think of, Michael, is that, you know, you're with Donald Trump for 45 minutes alone. It makes the press. Donald Trump says you got him. Without you, he wouldn't have gotten elected. So I don't know, I'm guessing. If somebody's really angry at Donald Trump, they might want to take it out on you, even though many times you will criticize Donald Trump. But they don't see it that way, a lot of people.
So, Dan, how does this bully get his day in court? When does the bully go to court? When does the judge finally decide to have him arrested?
Well,
When does the DA say, wait a minute, this is a miscarriage of justice, a great injustice has been done here to Michael Savage. I don't care about his politics. We're not going to let this happen. This bully is going to jail. When does that happen?
well, we've got a good district attorney's office in Marin, and I can't say what they're going to do. They may disagree with me. But my sense is they will look at this very quickly. And again, I said you are doing exactly what they've advocated for in a very high-profile case. You did not respond to somebody coming after you with violence. So how could they not follow their own practices and procedures? I think they support you, they file against this person, and you get justice in the courts. That's what I think.
Well, let me put this on the air. You asked me if he had apologized to me, would I have been satisfied? I'll say this right now, because I'm sure him and his representatives are listening to every word of this show. You want me to say it right now?
Go ahead.
I would consider it, but I want the apology first. I said I'll consider it.
That's fair. That's very fair.
I don't know who this invisible bully is, do you?
No, but it's a human, decent way. Everybody...
It was a tall man. All I saw was a tall, looming figure with dyed hair, dyed black. That's all I saw. Some guy with hair plugs with dyed hair. In a blur, in a blink.
Here's what I think.
And I knew it was no good. I knew it was no good the minute he got near me. Because he was aggressive in his commentary. He came to do no good. And my instincts kicked in. And I said, get the hell away from me. Who are you?
To me,
What did I want, a John Lennon?
Right. To me,
You want to kiss a blade?
To me, what could have happened is bigger than what happened, because you can take a punch, you can take a fall. It's not fun, but you can take it. If we found out that this person just lost it, it was a momentary loss, and he, maybe he does community service and helps people in need. He does something to give back. Revenge is not you. Revenge is not me. Justice is you, and justice is me. But somebody has to deserve justice in order to be given it. So it's his move, and I haven't seen anything from him yet. He's had a long time to apologize.
We don't know who he is. We don't know where he lives. We don't know where he comes from. We don't know his motivations. But everyone knows who I am. They know my age. They know my dog's age. But no one knows who the perpetrator is. Isn't that a wonderful world that we live in?
It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. Teddy will know.
Dan, let's do this. Guys, open up one or two lines. Leave them open for questions for my lawyer, Dan Horowitz. Not so much about this incident, but about their rights in such a situation. Maybe people are now curious about what they can do to protect themselves and their loved ones from people who are aggressive for no reason. I'll be right back. 855-407-282.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now. 855-400-SAVAGE. 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Attention, this message is for everyone suffering from back pain. If you're driving in your car right now, I'm sure every bump, every little crack you run over feels like a giant speed bump, sending shooting pain through your back, pain you'll be feeling all day. Back pain that makes a 30-minute commute feel like a punishing 2-hour drive. Well, here's some good news. If you're by a CVS or Walgreens, pull in right now. You heard me. Walk back to the pain relief aisle and get Australian Dream Back Pain Cream. It's in a purple box. Australian Dream is real effective medicine that really works. Rub it in where it hurts. Give yourself some relief. Try Australian Dream Back Pain Cream, backed by the empty jar guarantee. Use the entire jar if it doesn't relieve your back pain. I want you to send back the empty jar for a full refund. Pull into the nearest CVS or Walgreens. Get Australian Dream Back Pain Cream now, in the purple box, or visit AustralianDream.com. Something that all police must know is that life is unpredictable. They go out every day wearing a vest. Soldiers know life is unpredictable. But the average citizen who lives in a decent neighborhood, not in a slum where people are killed every day, generally think that nothing's going to happen to them. I can see the idiots walking around in the streets here. They walk out in front of cars. If you look at them like there's something wrong with them, they look at you like you're crazy. They're crazy. They live in their own dream world. So people don't realize that the world is unpredictable. And anyone who trains in any sport of boxing or martial arts is trained for the unexpected. But I got to tell you something. I know a guy, a big guy, a strapping guy, and he's a Taekwondo expert, and he had been in his whole life, right? Went to a supermarket, a racist, he's a Korean, of Korean heritage. A racist came up behind him a few years ago in a supermarket and hit him over the head with a bottle. He was in a hospital for 3 months. There are certain things you cannot prepare for, incidentally. So don't think that any of us are immune or have impunity to anything. We're not Supermen. Okay, Dan Horowitz is my attorney. He's on the line. Welcome back. This occurred, by the way, just around Beware the Ides of March, Dan. Dan Horowitz, are you back on line 10? Dan, welcome to the show. Dan, I have some calls for you. We have an open line if anyone has a general legal question on this issue of assault and what the law is. Dawn on WABC, line 7. I think I just put Dan off. You'll have to pick the calls up for me. Go ahead, Dawn on WABC. What's your question?
All right, so to Dan, aside from the misdemeanor assault, if this man went there with some intent, obviously, alleged intent, whichever, wouldn't this be considered stalking? And isn't stalking a form of a crime?
Don, I don't know the answer to that. The indications are that he did not go there with any belief that Michael would be there. How would he know Michael was going there? I really think this is an incident where there is something that triggered him to come out and confront Michael and go further. And I would have to look at the stalking laws, but I think they need an awful lot of intent to be shown. It's difficult to prove his state of mind. I like the facts of this case better.
How did he know my family name and come up to me and slur it? How did he know that, unless he knew who I was?
Well, that tells me that he did know who you were, and that does give some credence to what Don is saying. I guess I'm hoping that that's not the case, because that's really scary. If that's the case, that's freaky.
Okay, right. That's real freaky. Maybe there's others hanging around Marin County in different restaurants that I've been known to frequent.
Yeah.
One thing is for sure, I'll never be down in that restaurant again.
Yeah.
Not only for this reason, but for many other reasons, which I'm not going to mention right now.
Yeah.
Which you don't want me to talk about, like why I was there that night, because I had to send the food back the time I'd been there before and I had a food credit. I guess my cheapness got the best of me.
How did they treat you?
No, I've been hanging. That afternoon was a beautiful sunny afternoon. I was with my dog under the Golden Gate Bridge, and I met some nice people, the canoe club people. I hung out with them. I was on the way back. I didn't want to go home. It was a long night ahead of me. I wanted a drink, one drink. So I contemplated the various places I could go to. I said, I'm not going to go there to eat. The last experience was nauseating. I said, but the guy owes me $16 for food credit. I'll go there and have a drink. I shouldn't have. I just should have, written it off. I know you don't want me to say this, but Dan, certain things need to be said. If anyone's going there because they didn't think that I'm going to be there, you're wrong. You'll never see me there again. And that's all there is to it. All right, Dan, does anyone have any other fundamental questions about their life? You're going to get free legal advice for 5 more minutes when I come back on this issue of assault and stalking.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE. Savage.
I wish this bag under my eye would just go away. Well, if that sounds like you every morning, I'm sorry you're not alone. You see, bags and puffiness under the eyes are a problem for millions of American men and women, unless you use Genucel, the plant stem cell treatment from Chamonix. Then, ladies and gentlemen, the bags and puffiness will go away. Susan from New Jersey wrote this: I've been using Genucel for a couple of months. The puffiness around my eyes, it's gone. Even the crow's feet and small lines have disappeared and haven't come back. I love your product. I use it under my eyes, around my cheekbones, and on my eyelids. Not only Susan, folks. Others I know have been using Genuself for the past few years and their eyes have never looked better. The best part is the product works instantly. And with its instant effects, you'll see results in the first 12 hours or you get your money back. I guarantee it. Call 800-SKIN-891. That's 800-SKIN-891. Plus right now during the Chamonix Spring Clearance event, Chamonix will give you an instant $50 coupon while supplies last. So call 800-SKIN-891. 800-SKIN-891. That's 800-SKIN-891.
Michael Savage, weekdays from noon to 3 on Talk Radio 560 KSFO.
Look, I basically suspended all the talk of Borders, language, and culture for the day. 23% of public school children come from immigrant households. And there's not a rational person on earth who can say that this number of children can be assimilated into this nation. I'm an immigrant son, but there must be a limitation on immigration or there's no nation. It will dissolve in front of your eyes. And if you want to wake up a stranger in your own land, you're insane. That's all I can tell you. Because you're not going to be real happy living in the lands that they come from. That's why their parents fled those lands. Because they're hellholes. They're garbage cans on earth. They came here for the American way of life, not for you to live in the hellhole they left behind. See, now that's logical, isn't it? But it doesn't seem to enter the mind of the bigot, whose mind is made up no matter what you say to them. They say, oh, you're cruel, you're anti-immigrant, you're a racist. They have all the answers right away. And that's why we have an epidemic right now of insanity coming from the radical left in this country. The generalized radical left is insane. And they think, the right to attack people who they don't agree with. This has to be stopped. If the police have become unable to protect the people, who is going to protect the people? If the police cannot protect someone who was assaulted out of nowhere, a man who assaults me, then assaults a good Samaritan, and they say, oh no, we can't arrest him. No, can't arrest him. Well, then let me ask you, what do you do now? We're living, what, in the Wild West now? We have to defend ourselves? Well, go ahead, defend yourself. Fight back and you'll be arrested. Is that what you want? Is that the world you expected to live in? KBET Radio, I think you're in Las Vegas, Dane, right? Line 1, what's on your mind? What's your question for Mr. Horowitz?
Yeah, Mr. Horowitz, I had a bottle thrown at me while I was holding a Trump sign. It crashed all over, missed my head by 5 inches. It crashed all over the sidewalk. I ran toward the car, I got the plate, and then I got in my car, followed it, and I found out, and I called 911 who they were, I knew they were, I knew the restaurant. The police came there, and they said, we know he did it, but the problem is we can't do anything because we didn't see him do it. Now what do? They knew it was a crime. I knew it was a crime.
Dan, please answer that, because this is an analogous situation. The police did not see the assault that makes they said the same thing.
First thing you should do is call Attorney Bob Massey in Vegas. He'll take care of it, because that is a crime that is dangerous not just to you, but they'll probably do it to someone else. You've got a right to make a citizen's arrest. They've got to go out and grab that guy and take him into custody. Now, they may then cite release him to show up at a court date, but you say arrest him, you know who he is, they've got to...
Well, I said arrest him to the perpetrator. They said, okay, make a citizen's arrest. Then they come and say, he said you started it, so we're making one on you too. What if the guy who threw the bottle at him says he started it by cursing him?
I know. There's always that back and forth. But you got to take the chance. You got to stand up, man. Don't let them get away with it.
All right, next question. This is a great one. Jennifer on KKAT in Utah. This is a super question that goes well beyond this incident. Jennifer, what's your question for Mr. Horowitz?
Hi, yeah, I was just wondering if he was going to face any animal cruelty charges for what he did to Teddy.
To me, that's more upsetting than what was done to Michael. Michael can take...
Thanks, Dan. Who bought you dinner last night, Teddy or Michael?
What's that?
Who bought you dinner last night, Teddy or Michael?
Well, who did I toast to? I toasted to Teddy.
You did, and you wanted the Sangiovese, you didn't want the house wine, okay.
Enough. True enough.
So what? Animal cruelty is a bigger crime than attacking a person in the Western world today?
Strangely, the way the statute is written, animal cruelty could be a felony or a misdemeanor. Under these circumstances, it's probably a misdemeanor.
But wait, what if the man says Teddy assaulted him first? And he wants a citizen's arrest on Teddy?
Yeah, but
would the cops have to write a citation to my dog because the man said so? That's how stupid this is.
It used to be that if you killed somebody in a duel, the maximum sentence was 3 years. They changed that about 10 years ago. The law is very funny.
This was not a duel. This was an unprovoked assault.
I know, maybe.
Right. And see, I'm living in a very sick state and a very sick city within a very sick state where there's very little justice. So, Dan, I'm going to ask you a loaded question. You may not choose to answer it. If I do not get justice on a local level, can I go to the federal government for justice in this case? Because I will do that if I have to.
It certainly is a violation of your civil rights. It is a violation of your speech rights, as long as the motivation is, as we presume, that it was political. Then you can go federally on it.
Well, what else would it be? I didn't speak to the man. I don't know who he is.
I'm assuming, but I don't want to assume in case something else came up. Maybe he mistook you for Anthony Weiner. I don't know.
No, don't be funny. He used my first name. He came right up as he was looking to me like he was going to shoot me or stab me or punch me. And he said my name in a slurry, aggressive way. Okay, I knew what he was going to do. I saw it in his eyes and I saw it in his actions. He pursued me out of the restaurant. I'm sorry, Dan, it doesn't fly. And I don't know why he's not in handcuffs and he's not behind bars. And if the law can't protect me on a local level, I will go to the new U.S. attorney who was appointed by Donald Trump. By the way, the first day a new U.S. attorney is appointed in this area, I am going to take you in that office, Dan, and we're going to appeal to them to bring in a federal investigation of this incident. That's right, I will make a federal case out of it, Dan. I never let anything go. I'm going to tell you right now, Dan, you know me very well. I'm a very quiet man off air, but if I think I am right and I am a victim of some kind or someone I know is a victim of something, I will spend any amount of money. I'll fight it to the ends of the earth. If I have to go to the Supreme Court, I will prevail on this. And I hope to God that the county does the right thing by me.
Silencing your speech, then you've got a real federal issue. That's a big issue. It's yet to be seen, but look, he spoke to the police. Other people heard in more detail what he said. Let's find out what this guy's motivation was. Maybe it was straight up political, and that's a First Amendment violation. That's very interesting.
Well, maybe he doesn't like men 75 years old with 12-pound poodles who were 12 years old.
Right. I mean, we don't really know what went on.
Maybe he was offended by the fact that I had a leash in one hand and a bag in the other. And he didn't like that. They didn't have a third hand to shake his hand.
Who knows? But look, we're not going to...
Well, how do we know he's not a psychopath out of a mental hospital?
We're going to let it rest.
How do we know he's not a psychopath out of a mental hospital? He assaulted 2 people that night and a little animal, and the police let him go on his own regard. No arrest, nothing?
Yeah, you could have assaulted 10 people as a misdemeanor, and they would...
In other words, he could have then struck the women sitting on the couch one at a time, and then they would have said, okay, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. You have 10 misdemeanors now, but we're not going to arrest you because we live in Tiburon.
Right. Now, there is one exception where they could have taken him into custody. Once you placed him under arrest, they did have the choice of giving him a citation where he promises to appear, or alternatively, they could have put him in jail and made him bail out. They never do that, but legally they could have done that on your arrest. So if you want to complain about something, you do have a right to say, hey, why did they let him go home? Why did they keep him overnight in the jail? But the truth is, for practical purposes...
Dan, he was a clear and present danger to other people. He assaulted another man. What more has to happen? He has to go in there and kill somebody before they do something?
I'm sure there's a policy that says that they are supposed to cite release people whenever there's a citizen's arrest for a
How much did he have to drink that night, Dan? Did the investigator find out if he was drunk? Did the restaurant feed him too many drinks? Do we know that?
We don't know how much he had to drink or if he was intoxicated at all. We do not know that.
Well, you're not going to find it out either because the police didn't do their work. Did they do a test? Did they do a sobriety test on him?
I'll find it out. Trust me.
Did they do a sobriety test on him? He was the assailant.
Not that we're aware of, but I will.
Okay, last question of the day, not to drag this out. When does a new U.S. attorney get appointed here in the Bay Area? Does that happen? Because he replaced 46 of them, Trump did.
He's not.
Did the Bay Area get a new U.S. attorney yet?
He's not going to change our U.S. attorney here. I don't think so.
Who is the U.S. attorney in the Bay Area?
Brian Stretch.
Is he good?
Yeah, I think he's good. And I think he's respected nationally. I see no reason to replace him.
Can we approach him if we don't get justice?
Yes.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. I'm not going to try it on air. I'm going to ask for justice on air, and I'll say one last thing on this issue before you go, Dan, and I go, which is this. You asked me at the beginning of the show if this violent assailant had apologized to me after assaulting me and hitting the Good Samaritan. Would I have accepted the apology? My answer is this. I will consider it, but I want the apology first. Does that work, Dan?
It works because it forces him to really confront what he did. It's not a business transaction. It's a moral transaction, which is where you're coming from, and it's the right place to be.
All right, Dan Horowitz, attorney extraordinaire, thanks for being with us on the Savage Nation.
Thank you, Michael.
It is now 44 minutes after the hour. It's open season on Trump supporters. We've covered it ad nauseum to many people. And I apologize to you if I've overindulged myself on this issue, but it's never happened to me before. Because I'm extremely careful, I'm extremely guarded, and I'm used to a certain level of civility and safety in the areas in which I live. If I walk in areas that are not particularly known to be safe, I'm extremely cautious and I take proper precautions. This was unexpected because it occurred in a place where it never happens. I would expect the police to do the right thing. Thus far, I have not seen any justice. When I come back, we'll do regular news, all the news, views, and reviews you've come to expect. On this.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. We all need medicine, but prescription medication costs can really add up. Most people don't know that pharmacy prices vary wildly, and insurance isn't always your best bet. With GoodRx, you can stop paying too much for your prescriptions. GoodRx is an easy way for Americans to save up to 80% on their prescriptions. In fact, most people save at least 49%. GoodRx is easy to use. They even use my name. Just text GoodRx 466379. Enter the code SAVAGE. Type in the name of your prescription and your zip code. While GoodRx is not insurance, GoodRx prices often beat insurance prices. Listen to me, don't go to the pharmacy without checking drug prices at GoodRx first. GoodRx saves you money and is totally free. No membership required, no need to supply personal information. To see how you can start saving money on your prescriptions, just text GoodRx 466379 and enter the code SAVAGE. That's GoodRx 466379 on your mobile phone, code SAVAGE. What have you got to lose? Nothing, just money to save. Hey, Savage Nation, I've got big news for you. News you won't hear about anywhere else. A major economic event will take place on or before March 31st, which could have a devastating effect on every dollar you have invested or in savings. Did you hear me? March 31st. This global financial event presents economic danger for those unaware and an epic opportunity for those prepared. According to an urgent new Swiss America report, The Great Convergence of 2017, it is free. All you're going to do is call 800-289-2646. It's simple. You call 800-289-2646. I trust Swiss America. They've been with me from the beginning. Don't wait. Get the Great Convergence of 2017, a vital 6-page special report in time to take the steps necessary to protect your hard-earned savings and investments. Do it now. Why risk everything? Just call 1-800-289-2646, 800-289-2646, or visit SwissAmerica.com.
More of the Savage Nation on Talk Radio 560, KSFO.
Dr. Michael Savage back with you on the Savage Nation. Many of you don't know this, but I was formerly director of nutrition for one of America's largest health food chains. And I found the product Super Beets because it's one of the most impressive natural functional foods I've ever seen. Why does it work? Because of blood flow, and blood flow, period. You see, beets are loaded with dietary nitrates, which convert to nitric oxide in the body. Super Beets is the easiest way to get these natural dietary nitrates to specifically help you with blood flow and circulation. Super Beets works 3 times faster to give you results you can feel, and it happens to taste great. I take Super Beets. I can feel the energy and stamina it gives me within 20 minutes. I want you to try it too. Call 800-481-0504, write it down, 800-481-0504, or go to SavageLovesBeats.com, write it down, SavageLovesBeats.com. You're going to get a 30-day supply for free, coming with your first order. It's backed by a money-back guarantee. You'll also receive a free book entitled Beat the Odds and free shipping. You'll love the results that you feel with your first free canister. It's guaranteed or your money back, okay? SavageLovesBeats.com. KSFO, William, line 3, what's on your mind? Go ahead, please.
Yes, in reference to the guy who assaulted you, as well as those who've assaulted Trump supporters in Berkeley and San Jose and elsewhere, would it be correct to refer to their lack of prosecution as political privilege?
I would call it selective prosecution is what it is, which is a violation of the law. And the only way to turn this around is for a man like me who is prominent and has the means and the support of millions of people is to follow this to the ends of the earth until I get justice. Because when I turn this around the way it should be, this will not be happening as often as it is happening. So let me be the guy who takes it and runs with it. Because I'm not going to rest until I get justice in this case. It's that simple. Okay. So at this point, it's not about me. Oh, no, it's not about me. Now it's a bigger issue, isn't it? You know, I'm not at the beginning of my radio career. I'm not just starting out on the road of life. But when we see what happened in Berkeley a few weeks ago, Berkeley, California, my alma mater, by the way, where I earned my doctorate through great work. When I see these out-of-control rabid animals assaulting, beating, burning, and the useless Berkeley police do nothing, not because they couldn't or wouldn't, but because of the moron who they put in as a police chief, who probably can't fire a gun. We had one of those here in San Francisco for years. She couldn't pass the pistol exam. Can you believe this? 4'9", they're like in the fire department here. Women who couldn't hold a fire hose were made a fire chief. That's San Francisco. Can you believe this? Well, that's what happens when you have an insane, upside-down world. Oh, look, I'm going to take your calls any way you want on this or all the other topics that are out there. And there's a lot of news out there to some extent. I mean, there is news. You can make it up and get excited over nothing, too. Or you can get excited over something, you know. So that's the story. Thank God right now, I am eating takeout Italian food from another restaurant, a much better one. My assistant brought me a minestrone soup and bread. I'm back to the peasant I always was. I hate fine dining to begin with. I don't have the patience for the ordering and how are you and you want an appetizer and you want a drink. And I sit there 30 minutes foaming till I get something to eat or drink. I got the food here in 10 minutes. I'm having a minestrone soup and bread. I feel great. There is always takeout. There is nothing wrong with takeout. I have a lot of work to do, another book to write. There's an awful lot to do when you have an active mind. That's all I can say. And I don't need to spend my life in restaurants waiting for bad food to send back. But most people don't even know what they're eating. That's why they get bad food. They get so drunk. You see, the trick in restaurants is this. They make you wait for the food. They torture you. So you have that second glass of wine, the crappy $12 wine. Because unfortunately, the restaurant business is on such a thin margin, it's a tough business incidentally, that the only money they make is on the alcohol. And the last I read, the number one profit center in any restaurant is the glass of wine. Did you know that? So that's what they say, would you like another glass of wine before I give you a scrap of bread, little mouse? No, I just want a piece of bread. So I don't like to beg for food. That's why I got takeout minestrone soup. It's just delicious. This is from an old school Italian restaurant here in my neighborhood. I won't mention them either because they never give me a seat. They're so popular they don't take reservations. So why should I give them a plug? Instead, the place I'll never go to gets international publicity. Go figure. Oh, life is funny. Well, here it is. Family was away when this occurred. I gave up this vacation to be on the radio for this week of the Trump's War book launch. I guess God punished me. I guess he said you should have put family first and take the book and told him to shove it. Too bad, let someone else talk about it next week. I guess my priorities are upside down.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Aren't you tired of not being able to see the way you did when you were younger? Do you think that you have to be young to have LASIK? The truth is that LASIK isn't just for young people, and many patients in their 50s and 60s are experiencing the joys of LASIK. And that's why you should consider LASIK with Stanford-trained Dr. William Ellis. He's not only my ophthalmologist, personally he's my friend, and I can vouch for his expert skills. Ellis Eye has several convenient locations, including their newest location in San Francisco on Maiden Lane. To celebrate this grand opening, Dr. Ellis is offering my listeners, military or police, a free LASIK evaluation valued at $360 and substantial savings on LASIK surgery. Take advantage of this great offer now by calling 888-691-2296. That's 888-691-2296. Put yourself in the skilled and caring hands of Dr. William Ellis. And remember, you don't have to be young to have LASIK. Call 888-691-2296 and tell him Dr. Savage sent you.
Talk Radio 560 KSFO. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture, and here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
It is The Savage Nation, hour number 3. If you just joined us, we spent almost 2 hours talking about an incident here in an area where I live, part-time. I have houses, by the way, in other places. And I've always thought this was a rather liberal place, which it is, but rather benign. They generally leave you alone. Well, apparently there are individuals who think that because it's a peaceful area, they can become violent with impunity. And that is what we were talking about with my attorney, Dan Horowitz. And we had callers from people around America who've been assaulted by the same type because of their politics. Seems to be an open season on Trump supporters right now, and everyone thinks they're going to make a name for themselves by opening their mouths or attacking. Well, thus far, this one's gotten away with it. Assaulted me, assaulted another man, injured a small animal, and the police have not arrested him. They let him make up a story that I started it, which is ludicrous on the face of it. I didn't know who he was, never saw him before. Turn around, there he is in my face. So, apparently it's open season on Trump supporters and the police have their hands tied, is what people are saying. I'm not so sure that's the situation. Berkeley, California, meaning burning buildings now and beating up old women and pulling their hair because they wore a Trump cap. That's considered fair play? It is if you live in a fascist liberal area. They use the guise of being good to get away with murder. Lie, cheat, steal, assault. But they do it with a smile. That's the liberal way. Smile to your face and stab you in the back with a knife. Well, the only way for us to win this war is to stand up to them in the courts. And that's what I intend to do. Lots of news out there. Trump wants to cut payments to PBS, NPR, and National Endowment for the Arts. Oh, that's terrible. Because we all know every liberal is so civilized. I mean, they listen to the NPR news show, and they just get all the news that they need with Vivaldi music in the background. And they think it's the truth when they get one side of the picture. Well, no, they don't just get they don't get the whole picture. Trump's budget would zero out the $445 million budget for the CPR, Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Now, it should be noted that it's a small source of funding for programming and broadcast operations on public TV stations and NPR radio stations nationwide. But what you don't know is the exorbitant amount of money that some of these hosts make on this public radio outlet. It'd be one thing if it was all, Bernie Sanders socialists wearing suits with soup stains on them, who ate out of Campbell's soup cans. They make huge salaries. They're feasting on the public dime. And I see that we do need to cut funding for PBS, NPR, and the NEA. Let them go out into the private sector and get the money. I'm sure that they can replace it in 1 second with all the liberals at Google or Microsoft, because that's what they believe in, so let them fund it. I don't want to pay for people who hate me, okay? You want to talk about that? I'm open for business. Should Trump cut NPR and PBS? Is a good question. Mr. Mulvaney said, we're ending federal involvement with the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. The wonderful folks who gave us shows like the perverted Sesame Street. And as much false news as you can possibly want. Office of Management and Budget Director Mick Mulvaney said we're cutting off all funds. But it will not be immediate because of the nature of government contracting. He said next year it might be zero. It may take a while to unwind that relationship. It's just the nature of contracts. The Washington Free Beacon previously reported defunding NPR and public radio would likely take years because the Corporation for Public Broadcasting gets its funding 2 years in advance. That's not a good sign. They get $100 million a year to public radio, $99.1 million. Now we're going to say, oh, that's the cost of running an aircraft carrier for 1 second. I'd rather run the aircraft carrier for 1 second than pay for the fat salaries of these 10th-rate broadcasters. Let all of them go out into the commercial world that I live in and see how far they get. See how long they last on radio with their sweet little saccharine voices, peddling their pap every day. WABC Steve, line 2, what's the topic? Go ahead, please.
Yes, you mentioned that you've had a bit of a dispute with the restaurant. Has it occurred that maybe somebody affiliated with the restaurant put the attacker up to this?
Nah, because I never go there. I'm never in the place. I was there a few, and it just didn't work out. The guy who owns is a really nice guy. He's a very nice man. I really like the guy, but I don't go there generally. I don't think that's at all a possibility, Steve. But I know what you're thinking, but nah, couldn't have. No. KSFO, Denise, line 8, what's your topic? Go ahead, please.
Oh, hi. Listen, I was raised, and my brother, by a Marine and a mother that was an incredible markswoman, and I'll be danged if they're going to put crime scene tape around me and tell me I can't defend myself.
I understand all that, but what story are we talking about?
The Tiburon police are making it seem like, oh, it's just a misunderstanding or that's the kind of take I get on it.
Here you have a man who attacked 2 people and a small animal, and they let him go. And they let him fabricate a lie, filing a false police report, in my opinion, saying I started it when I never saw the man before.
And they said, well, we cited both men, and, they're going to take...
Yeah, I understand, right. Maybe he's a regular in that place. I don't know who he is. I never saw him before. I don't know who he is. So... here we go. We're in a new world order. only it's not going to be running in one direction anymore. Little overreach here on the part of people who think they have the right to just go up and assault somebody and then strike an individual who tries to stop their violence. I guess he thinks he's ahead of the curve right now. Must be laughing while listening to the show. Thinks he's got the juice down there in that town. Maybe he does. Maybe he has the juice and I don't. But you see, a town is part of a state, and a state is part of a federal entity. There are town laws, there are state laws, there are federal laws, and if you step over that line and assault an elderly person, you're violating both state and federal law. It doesn't matter what the local police want to do. We have state law and we have federal law, and I will use it if I need to. But on the other hand, I said earlier, I will accept an apology at this time and then I will consider what to do. If on the other hand this man wants to stay in the shadows and hide, that's another story. WFTL, Michael on line 7, go ahead please.
Yes. I don't understand why they didn't arrest this person that attacked you.
But he didn't just attack me, he also punched a good Samaritan right in the face in front of a crowd.
Right, and this person was arrested for premeditated assault, and he's sitting in jail without...
Wait, now you're mixing me up. Who was arrested for premeditated? Who?
In Miami, there was a synagogue, and two people were there, and one person in the middle of prayer assaulted and injured this person, and he was...
Yeah, but it's not a comparable story. You know, I mean, I don't understand how it relates to this story. What's the point?
The point is, you got assaulted by this person, so it should be considered premeditated.
Well, it may be premeditated. How did he know my family name? I don't know him. He knows me. Maybe there's a history of him. Maybe there's a history of him looking for me somewhere, which will come out in any investigation.
That's why you should...
Well, we haven't investigated. Maybe there's a history of this man writing things about me on the internet that I don't know about. Going back, if that's true, there's a bigger story here. You know, things have a way of escalating when you don't step forward and say, I'm sorry. Thank you for the call. This story won't go away. KSFO, Mike on line 5. People will not let the story go. Mike, what do you want to talk about?
Dr. Savage, I heard about your incident this morning. If the police did not arrest this guy, how could they do a background check to find out if he's had priors to the same type of a crime?
Well, that's a question I've been asking. How do I know he's not a man who is violent, who poses a threat not only to myself but to others? What does it take to get arrested if you assault two people and an animal and they don't arrest you? Tell me what it takes in Marin County to get arrested.
I wish I knew the answer to that, Michael, and I'm very sorry to hear what happened. It just pissed me off.
Well, I bounced right back up. I mean, but the thing is, it's 2 days later, and I'm in severe pain in my neck and back. I'm not going to lie to you. I may have to take tomorrow off and seek treatment. I don't know what I'm going to do. I go back to work no matter what happened. I'm going to divulge something right now I've never told anyone because you know, when my father got sick years ago and got a heart attack, he never told anybody. He didn't want anyone to know it. He thought it was a sign of weakness. That's the kind of people I come from. And we all said, why don't you tell people? He said, it's not their business. But I'm going to say something right now because thank God it's behind me and no one's heard this yet. And I know we don't have many affiliates right now. You know, I mean, as many as we do in the first 2 hours, but this will go out on the news wires. Let me tell you something. A number of years ago, I think it was 3 years ago. What month is this? I don't know what month we're in. I lost track. My birthday month. 3 years ago, in January, I woke up one day and I had lost control of the right side of my face. My jaw was not working on the right side and my eye was drooping. But again, because I don't complain, I didn't want to do anything about it. I thought I slept on the wrong side of my face. I called my good friend Doc Kraft, great guy, physician, warrior, fought in 5 wars, great musician, has a local band here in Marin, great people. old Green Beret with a lot of friends here in Marin County who love me to death. I should say love me to life. They're infuriated. They've been writing me all night. What can we do? What can we do? I said, just leave it to the police and the courts. That's what you can do. I call him up and he says, go to the hospital immediately. I said, what are you talking about? He says, you got to make sure it's not a stroke. I said, it'll go away in the morning. He said, go to the hospital. Go to the hospital. First of all, I did the show that day with a half a mouth. I swear to God, you don't ever knew this. If I could ever find the show, I have such control over myself. Remember what Freud said? If you wake up one day and find yourself walking on one arm and one leg, then crawl. I practice what I preach. I went on the air that day with a half a mouth, meaning I had no control over my lips on the right side. I was able to project my voice accurately from the left side of my face. At the end of the show, I went to the ER room. Within an hour or 30 minutes, they diagnosed it as Bell's palsy. Now, I didn't know what it was. I'd heard about it. I knew one person who had it. Anyway, the long short of it is, they gave me this medicine, that medicine, that medicine. I threw it all away, as I normally do, and I did my own thing the next day. I took one day off from the radio. Within 2 days, I was better. I was back on the air 2 days later, and the illness resolved itself within 2 weeks. And the neurologist, who was a young guy, said, I have patients who have Bell's palsy from 1978 who are still crippled. He said, I don't know how you did it. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Attention, this message is for everyone suffering from back pain. If you're driving in your car right now, I'm sure every bump, every little crack you run over feels like a giant speed bump, sending shooting pain through your back, pain you'll be feeling all day. Back pain that makes a 30-minute commute feel like a punishing 2-hour drive. Well, here's some good news. If you're by a CVS or Walgreens, pull in right now. You heard me. Walk back to the pain relief aisle and get Australian Dream Back Pain Cream. It's in a purple box. Australian Dream is real effective medicine that really works. Rub it in where it hurts. Give yourself some relief. Try Australian Dream Back Pain Cream, backed by the empty jar guarantee. Use the entire jar. If it doesn't relieve your back pain, I want you to send back the empty jar for a full refund. Pull into the nearest CVS or Walgreens. Get Australian Dream Back Pain Cream now, in the purple box, or visit AustralianDream.com. My friends at MyPillow always have great deals. For a limited time, call 800-768-0898 or go to MyPillow.com, use promo code SAVAGE, and you get Mike's 4-pack special. You'll get 40% off 2 MyPillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Buy now, and MyPillow will also extend their New Year money-back guarantee through April 1st, 2017. You can have the pillow for months, and if you aren't happy, you can return it for a full guarantee. I've had MyPillow for over a year, and since I've had their ultra-thin pillow, I've never slept better. I've always had the hardest time finding the perfect pillow until I ordered MyPillow. They sent me exactly what I needed, and I couldn't be happier. Don't lose out on these incredible offers. Now through the end of March, MyPillow is offering Mike's 4-pack special. You'll get 40% off 2 MyPillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. So go online to MyPillow.com, code SAVAGE for this incredible offer, or call 800-768-0898. That's 800-768-0898 for Mike's 4-pack special. MyPillow, made in the USA, guaranteed the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own.
You're listening to Michael Savage. Coming up tomorrow morning from 5 to 9, it's the KSFO Morning Show on Talk Radio 560 KSFO.
Incidentally, let us not forget my new book, Trump's War, came out the very same day of this assault. That's very intriguing to me. And it's front and center in every major bookstore in America. It is selling extremely well, by the way, because its message is right on time, which is his battle for America. And I guess when you say his battle for America, it means that there are people on the other side who don't like it very much. They like the status quo. Well, for those of us who want to change, want change. And the way you do it is you fight it out in the theater of ideas and also in the courts. But you don't assault people. And if you do, you cross the line, and that means you go to jail. but not in certain places, because in certain places, as George Orwell taught us, some animals are more equal than others. Incidentally, we have the link up right now on michaelsavage.com. We've been waiting for months for this. It came up minutes ago. We have a premium streaming site for the show, video and audio of Savage. Right now it's only audio. Live audio streaming. Go behind the scenes, special members only segment, Savage Premium, join now, and eventually this will be the only place to stream the radio show. There will be all the other outlets, I'm sorry to tell you, that you're getting it on for free are going to go away. The company wants that, that's what we do. And you could check it out right now, join Savage Premium on the top of michaelsavage.com, which has other great stories, such as pro-Trump radio host Michael Savage assaulted while having dinner with his poodle Teddy from the London Daily Mail. That's an interesting headline, having dinner with his poodle Teddy. I like that. That has so many meanings to it. Who has dinner with his poodle? Number one, why was I only with my poodle? Why would I rather have dinner with a dog than with a person most of the time? I'll give you 9 reasons why. I'll give you 8 reasons why easily, but I don't think I should do it on a radio show. It's sort of sarcastic. There's a lot of good the French know this. That's why the French dine with their animals, because they'd rather sit with an animal in a restaurant than a person who bores them to death. It's not to save money. I don't bring kibble to the restaurant. I'm not like one of these cheap liberals who brings kibble in a little plastic bag and puts it on the rug. No, I usually order him a hamburger and cut it in half. Same dinner every night. I don't know how he doesn't get bored. I give him a hamburger, no salt and pepper, cut it in half, put some water on it, chop it up, and that's his dinner. Then I take the other half home for the other dogs. Or I eat it myself, because sometimes I get so hungry, incidentally, that I actually I taste the food before he gets it. I say, it's too hot, let me taste it. It's because they don't serve you right away, and they make you starve to death. So I get a burger right away. I don't know what this is. They always feed the dog first, wherever I go. 855-407-2822. There's a nice picture of Making America Great Again with me and Donald Trump and some other great people. That's a great picture. The America First budget, Trump wants $1.5 billion for the wall, cash for the military, but will slash foreign aid, eliminate funding for PBS and NPR. Gee, I wonder why the libs are unhappy. Because they're going to have to start ponying up some money for the radio stations that they listen to. Here's a nice one. Lawmakers push Tillerson to investigate U.S. funding of Soros' political meddling. He is the worst person on the planet, and the most dangerous in my estimation. Rand Paul says John McCain is past his prime and may be unhinged. He is. John McCain was seriously mentally damaged in the Hanoi Hilton. He had become crazy after the evil Vietnamese broke his back and tortured him for 5 years. Yeah, that's terrible what they did to him, but that doesn't mean we have to believe what he says. Michael Savage slams CNN for communist attacks on Trump. Great story from Newsmax. See Michael Savage's induction into the Radio Hall of Fame. Think if I was a ball player, a Radio Hall of Famer, got assaulted, do you think the police would have arrested the assailant? Or think if I was a Hollywood star and someone did that to me in Los Angeles, do you think they would have let the perpetrator go away, especially if he hit another guy right after hitting me? Tell me, if he hit another guy, if they did it to a Hollywood star, do you think the LAPD would let him get away with it? I don't think so.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE.
I wish this bag under my eye would just go away. Well, if that sounds like you every morning, I'm sorry you're not alone. You see, bags and puffiness under the eyes are a problem for millions of American men and women, unless you use Genucel, the plant stem cell treatment from Chamonix. Then, ladies and gentlemen, the bags and puffiness will go away. Susan from New Jersey wrote this: I've been using Genucel for a couple of months. The puffiness around my eyes, it's gone. Even the crow's feet and small lines have disappeared and haven't come back. I love your product. I use it under my eyes, around my cheekbones, and on my eyelids. Not only Susan, folks. Others I know have been using Genucel for the past few years and their eyes have never looked better. The best part is the product works instantly. And with its instant effects, you'll see results in the first 12 hours or you get your money back. I guarantee it. Call 800-SKIN-891. That's 800-SKIN-891. Plus, right now during the Chamonix Spring Clearance event, Chamonix will give you an instant $50 coupon while supplies last. So call 800-SKIN-891. 800-SKIN-891. That's 800-SKIN-891. that any of you want to hear about today, and I don't blame you, are the news reports. So somebody wrote this on the TMZ coverage of the assault on Michael Savage, and I think it's very pertinent. Frank M. wrote, so we know Savage is 75, we know his dog Teddy is 12, we know the restaurant's name, and yet we know nothing about the disgruntled patron who assaulted him. Usually the first one to throw the punch goes to jail on assault charges, but not in California. Thank you very much, Frank. It is bewildering to me, I gotta tell you, this whole business. As far as I'm concerned, the law is an ass. Samuel Johnson wrote that a couple of 100 years ago. Nothing's changed. The law is an ass. I'll just tell you the story from my point of view without telling you the story from my point of view. I'll tell it to you from the point of view of a reporter. Aaron Klein wrote me an email this morning and said, what can you say about it? I'll put it up on Breitbart. Well, here's what I said to him. The headline says, Michael Savage following alleged assault. Quote, it is clearly open season on prominent Trump supporters. Talk radio star Savage told Breitbart News a day after he was reportedly allegedly assaulted. Tell my neck and back that they were reportedly allegedly assaulted at a so-called restaurant in so-called Tiburon. Anyway, I'm not going to read any more of this. I'll read the one paragraph I wrote. You know, I'll tell you the truth. It's 2 days later and the pain is worse and my anger is worse. And my PTSD is kicking in. I'm really starting to get pissed off at everybody. Especially those who didn't arrest him. Savage said it is clearly open season on prominent Trump supporters. The fascist left has been empowered by their own false narrative that those of us who support borders, language, and culture, my motto, are evil fascists. This is how Hitler came to power. He used his brown shirts to beat up any opponents. The media and police are now almost wholly driven by this lie. Well, what can I say to you? Last night I had dinner with a number of friends, including several special forces people who were calling me all night. They never forget their friends, and they feel I speak for them. And they said they want justice to be done. I said, yeah, I want justice to be done also, but the law is an ass thus far. You know, I was on the Larry King show yesterday. Larry is a certifiable liberal his whole life. I happen to love the man. I met him on the air. So before the show started, I said, lovely Larry the liberal, how are you? You know what? He didn't get mad. He smiled. He's a good-natured man. Well, then we went and disagreed about politics. He challenged me on everything that Trump did and what do I believe in this and that. But he never got angry. He didn't get vicious. He didn't get mad. And he even invited me to his bagel shop in Beverly Hills to share a schmear with him. Now, I don't eat cream cheese, but I do eat bagels, so I may go down there. But the thing is, there's a difference between being a liberal and being a psychotic fascist progressive. You know that. My family happens to be away on vacation. They were shocked to hear about it. They were way away. They were in the Bahamas. They couldn't believe what they heard. They read it on the news. They called up hysterical. And they said, why was the man not arrested who did this to you and our poor little dog? And the man then attacked another man who tried to intervene, yes. And he didn't get arrested? No, he didn't get arrested. They said if you were a woman, he would have been in jail. I said, let me tell you something else that has not yet come out. In the state of California, as in many other states, there are laws that protect senior citizens. It's called elder abuse. Like in Florida, they have some of the most stringent laws to protect older people because the older people lobbied for their protection, as should be done. They are very vulnerable older people. Well, I'm not a, fainting wallflower, but I happen to fall into the category of a protected class of citizen. I'm over a certain age. Now, what if someone had assaulted a child outside that restaurant, even by slapping the child? What would the cops have done? Put a citizen's arrest on the child as well? I really wonder about the law. I wonder about all of it. That is one topic. There's another big story. Trump is proposing cutting all funding for PBS, NPR, and the NEA. I 100% support it. I did so just the other day. Well, they're going crazy. They're going crazy. No, you can't cut NPR. Da, 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 da. All the communist news and then more. Let them live in the real world like I do. Let them go out in the commercial world and read ads, seek advertisers, not sit there on their high horses and their ivory towers at NPR making $500,000 a year. And what do? They got enormous ratings because there's no ads. They have unlimited time to spew their liberal gospel. You know that if I had no ads, I'd have no show. But let's say I had no ads, my ratings would be triple. Do you understand why NPR has high ratings? I'd love to see NPR go on. My ratings would go up. My competition would go down. Here's another story. 23% of public school children now live in immigrant households. 25% of all of the nation's public school students are immigrants. How are they going to be assimilated in this country? Did you really want to live in a third world nation? Have you considered the consequences of your good-natured liberal background? No, you haven't. Well, maybe you ought to, before it's too late and you wake up a stranger in your own land. And then who are you going to blame? Those of us who said borders, language, culture, or your own stupidity? You know, liberalism is not so much about being good, it's about being a coward. You're afraid to take a position that is real. There's a lot of other stories out there. You've got Jorge Ramos of Univision, and he says things that are so racist, they're frightening. He goes on an MSNBC show or something like that. Jorge Ramos, who said the worst things about Trump and about America you could imagine. Jorge Ramos had the nerve on Fox News. Well, listen to it. You'll hear, what you will hear now is a brown supremacist, in my opinion, in clip 18.
This is our country. It is yours, it is mine, and it is ours. The interesting thing is that with the Trump administration and many people who support Donald Trump, they think it is their country, that it is a white country, and they are absolutely wrong. This is not a white country. This is not their country. It is ours, and that's precisely what I'm saying. Look, in 2044, this country, the white population will become a minority. It will be a minority-majority country. That's precisely what I'm saying. Latinos, Asians, African Americans, whites, it is our country.
Who is this imposter to come to my beautiful country and be such a racist like this and not be challenged by the stooge with a bow tie on Fox News? That's another story I've never talked about. I always thought he was a lightweight stooge. Why Rupert Murdoch, why Rupert Murdoch would pick the bow tie and put him on Fox News, who lets people run all over him like this, is not beyond my imagination. I know why Rupert Murdoch did it, because Rupert Murdoch is a liberal. Rupert Murdoch is a businessman. Rupert Murdoch is a businessman who goes which way the wind blows. It's that simple. So he picks bow tie and turns him into a star. He was always a lightweight. So he lets this racist go on his show and put the nation down like that and says nothing. Bow tie, never a fan of bow tie. But if I'm going to sit here and I'm going to talk about Trump's war, I have to talk about Trump's war every day. But to begin with, I got to say this. If we only get 10% of what he promised, we are at least 110% ahead of what we would have had if she had won. Page 5. To begin with, Donald Trump has already made good on some essentials. The First Amendment will be safe under Trump. No matter what else he does or doesn't do, Donald Trump is never going to attack talk radio, as Hatch and Hillary promised to do. I can guarantee you there will be no return to the Fairness Doctrine, which was abolished in 1987. Neither is a Trump administration going to touch your guns. By appointing the next 3 judges to the Supreme Court, Trump may very well save the Second Amendment for the next 40 years. Page 5, Trump's war. But this is the best and most important thing. Perhaps most importantly, we're not going to be at war with Russia. As I said in my last book, Scorched Earth, it's life under Trump, death under Clinton. President Trump is going to repair our relationship with Russia in a way Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's community destroyers like Secretary of State John Kerry could never have achieved. Trump decided to speak with Russian President Vladimir Putin before he even took office. The liberal media went insane. They all want war with Russia. It would have sold newspapers. It would have been good for defense contractors, who are all in bed with the politicians and media in the swamp, but it wouldn't have been good for America. So there is much to be thankful for. But now that Donald Trump has won the election, it's our job to make sure he does what we sent him to Washington to do, drain the swamp. And then I continue on page 6, one more paragraph. It's very important you hear me. I decided to write this book as a battle plan. I was curious myself about how President Trump could make good on his promises, not just because they were big and unprecedented, but because he would face opposition to so many of them. And then I wrote about and write about the enemies within. And I named them in the book. My book. The Battle Plan, Trump's War. So we come down to what's going on in front of our eyes today. Next story from the Washington Times, Trump's Get Tough policies credited for sharp plunge in illegal immigration. Daily Wire, Trump targets ISIS, U.S. Marines just landed in Syria. Now this is a good one coming up next. Southern Illinois University hosts a library nap-in to have dreams of diversity. You couldn't make this up if you tried to. A university in Illinois, because of people who were never qualified to be in the university to begin with. They were let in under, let us say, open admissions plans to make the university look more diverse. Because they cannot study properly and they can't keep up with the other students. They've come up with this crazy insanity, a nap-in to help students dream of diversity. A so-called student coordinator, Marissa Amposta, is holding 4 2-hour naps in the library to internally generate student dreams of diversity as part of the Women's History Month. Do you have any idea what I'm saying to you? This is called the death of the West. When you water down standards for the sake of diversity, what you create is a disaster on every level. I'm uncompromising in my statement that in order to have quality anywhere, you have to have equality. But in order to have equality, you have to have quality. Let me put it to you that way. You want equality, then you have to have quality first, or we're all lost. Be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. This is going to sound like a horror story, but for some people, it's a reality during tax season. Now imagine you head to the mailbox after doing your taxes, you reach in, discard all the junk mail, and then pull out the item you've been waiting for so long, only to get a huge shock someone's already filed for your return. You probably didn't know that identity thieves could use your personal information to file for your refund or commit other forms of ID theft. In fact, the IRS identified approximately $4.1 billion in suspected identity theft tax refund fraud in 2016. Thankfully, though, there's LifeLock. With LifeLock, you have access to a team of U.S.-based specialists who know the steps to take and the calls to make to fix identity issues, whether it happens during tax season or any other time. Of course, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. Join now and get 10% off by using promo code SAVAGE. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to lifelock.com, promo code SAVAGE. That's SAVAGE, and you save 10% now at lifelock.com. Hey, Savage Nation, I've got big news for you. News you won't hear about anywhere else. A major economic event will take place on or before March 31st, which could have a devastating effect on every dollar you have invested or in savings. Did you hear me? March 31st. This global financial event presents economic danger for those unaware and an epic opportunity for those prepared. According to an urgent new Swiss America report, The Great Convergence of 2017, it is free. All you're going to do is call 800-289-2646. It's simple. You call 800-289-2646. I trust Swiss America. They've been with me from the beginning. Don't wait. Get The Great Convergence of 2017, a vital 6-page special report in time to take the steps necessary to protect your hard-earned savings and investments. Do it now. Why risk everything Just call 1-800-289-2646, 800-289-2646, or visit SwissAmerica.com.
You're listening to Michael Savage. Coming up at 3, it's Mark Levin on Talk Radio 560 KSFO.
All right, welcome back to the Savage Nation. I want to close this show out with a couple of observations. One came to me on my Facebook page from a Deborah Burden who says, remember when Corey Lewandowski merely brushed the female reporter's arm when she got too close to President Trump? This was all over the news for a week, and they kept calling it an assault, Michael Savage. I imagine this. What if Macho Radcow, you know her as Rachel Maddow, what if Macho Radcow had been attacked like I was? Let's just reverse it. Macho Radcow is at a restaurant with her poodle, minding her own business, not talking to someone. Macho Radcow leaves the restaurant, and a woman or a man follows her out of the restaurant, verbally threatens her, and then knocks her to the ground. And then a citizen stands up and tries to stop the assailant and gets punched in the face. Do you think the LAPD or wherever she lives would arrest the assailant? Or would they say to her, well, I'm sorry, the person who allegedly attacked you is having you put under house arrest too? What do you think would have happened if it was Macho Radcow instead of Michael Savage? I'm telling you, this is a classic case. This is such an open and shut, clear case to me. I will not rest until I see justice, I'll tell you right now. Luckily, I have a large audience and an unlimited budget. I'll be very clear. I'm going to follow this right to the Supreme Court if I have to. I don't care. I mean, I do care what happens locally. I want justice at a local level. If I don't get it, I'll go to the federal level. I'll go wherever I have to go to see justice done. And if I see that there's been any collusion between this individual because of, let's say, he's a donor to certain foundations in the area, let us say, or a friend of certain people in the area, let us say, they're all not going to be very happy at the end of the day, because we don't live in the South in the 1950s, do we, in Marin, or do we? I actually think this place is more dangerous and more vicious than Mississippi was in the 1950s if you support Donald Trump. But I'm not Mickey Schwerner. Let me put it to you that way. I'm Michael Savage. Phone number here is 855-400-7282. And we'll see where this goes. Every day is a new day. Every day is a new day. But I told you that story about the Bell's palsy about a couple of years ago for a reason. Because I tend to repress pain, I tend to repress injuries, and I tend to treat them myself. I usually don't use medication. The doctor gave me a cyclovir for the virus that caused the thing in the then he gave me an anti-inflammatory. I figured out what to do nutritionally because that's my expertise. I threw away the acyclovir after 2 days. I threw away the anti-inflammatory drug, and I used aspirin and very high doses of certain nutrients, which I've used for years to suppress the virus. And I was better in a couple of days. So I've been trying that now for 2 days, but my neck and back are not complying. And so I'm going to have to go tonight or tomorrow and take care of this. Falls are very tricky. The body is a very unpredictable map. And you just don't know what happens when you hit a hard pavement unexpectedly and you're off balance. You know, you just don't know. Broke my head open. Would the police have said he's going to put a citizen's arrest on you? Let's take you into an ambulance and have you come into court? I mean, this is so crazy, it's beyond belief. This is the twilight zone that I live in. But as I say, we give peace a chance. This is a classic case of bullying and assault. Not only was I assaulted, but he punched the Good Samaritan right in the face and then hid like a little sissy in the restaurant. He ran and hid behind his girlfriend, they're telling me. He ran into the restaurant and hid. Where are all the liberals now that we need them? Where have they all gone? All these people who hate bullies, who hate assault, who hate violence, who taught their children not to hit. Where are you now, you liars, you? You phony liars, where are you now? Where are you hiding today? It's open season on Trump supporters. Let me tell you something. The law will win. I'll win through the courts of law because I'm right, he's wrong.